Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Whitney, the CEO of Seven Figure Flipping and Blackjack Real Estate. And I have an amazing guest today. Her name is Katie Thompson, and she is the director of the Seven Figure Foundation, a nonprofit that we started collectively as an entrepreneur community a few years ago. If you don't know about how important impact is to us, this should tell you everything you need to know. Katie, welcome to the show.
It is great to be here and to connect with you and talk about all the awesome impact we're doing.
Yes. So for, people have been listening to this podcast for a long time. They get a ton of real estate. And I think that when I talk to entrepreneurs, it's making money is always part of becoming a business owner, becoming a entrepreneur, but it's usually what the money can do for you. And that is the ability to have freedom for your family and also to make impact on other families. I know that's why I started, and I know that's why so many other people started. But you have a unique perspective. So could you give us maybe a two to 3 minute overview on how you got involved and how the foundation brought you in and kind of what the Seven Figure Foundation is?
Absolutely. So my story is a fun one, and to truncate it is a little bit tricky, but I have had 15 years of nonprofit experience prior to my past boss committing federal fraud. And so I decided in my local community, I'm going to step out of the nonprofit world and I'm actually going to step into entrepreneurship. And I loved everything about being an entrepreneur alongside my husband, but there was just something missing in my heart. And I have always thought, I want to teach at the college level. So I started job searching to be an adjunct professor online. I was searching. And Adam, it was like this job posting kept popping up and I would swat it away. And it'd pop up and I'd swat it away. And it was this part-time executive director for the Seven Figure Foundation. And I thought, I don't know what this is, but it keeps popping up. So there must be some little tap on my shoulder here that's saying I need to research this more. And admittedly, the job description was pretty vague. It was like, hey, do you like to promote volunteerism? Do you want to be a part of an awesome community of people that are like-minded and want the world to be a better place? And I thought, who says no to that? And so I took the plunge, applied, and ended up finding out that what the Seven Figure Foundation is beyond awesome for starters, but it really is a group of like-minded people that said, we have time in our lives, we have treasures that we want to give, and we want the world to be bigger. And there's a multitude of places that we could give those gifts to and give that time to. But the foundation is put into place so that we can help entrepreneurs say, here's a space that we know your money will be utilized in the proper way. It will have a great touch and a great expansive reach to people. Your time will be well used and your resources are going to be valuable to us and give to as many people as possible. So when I stepped on and I said, let's do this, there was a great board, 9 entrepreneurs, all part of Seven Figure Flipping, that said, we started this because we want to do the work together. Everyone's spread throughout the country, but we want to have times that we come together and not only to learn more about real estate investing, but we want to give our time together, rub shoulders together, and feel how it feels to bring our families and unite them for greater impact. And I thought, let's do it. Let's travel the world together. Let's make a difference in people's lives. And how are we going to do that? Infrastructure. That was the greatest answer, right? Everyone in real estate is doing something that has to do with infrastructure. So let's make an impact on lives through infrastructure. And here we are today, impacting thousands upon thousands of lives.
Yeah, it's super cool. And, just to kind of bring the audience to like why the foundation, why do your own nonprofit? Because everybody in our community are big givers. Mm-hmm. They're always giving. We're giving to our church, we're giving to our communities, we're giving to other nonprofits. And we had raised and donated money to other nonprofits in the past. And what we found was, while that was fulfilling, but there was a lack of connection with that. Like we would just donate money and we knew that our community had skills to donate. They had time they wanted to donate, and we really wanted to be able to get our kids involved, right? Our kids being the next generation. We want to make a big impact on kids. And this was a way for us to tie it all together. So instead of just shipping money, which is easy to do, to other great nonprofits, we said, well, what if we could have our own nonprofit where not only could we donate our treasure, as you call it, our money, we could donate our time and our talents. And our talents, obviously, are infrastructure. We build houses, we rehab houses, we just know all things infrastructure, right? So that led us to starting the Seven Figure Foundation, separate from Seven Figure Flipping as a company, but closely tied together, because we take the entrepreneurs and all the good that they do, tie it to a nonprofit where we know exactly where our funds are going when we donate them. We literally get to go participate. So if we build houses abroad, we get to go help build the houses plus donate our funds. And it was just a way better experience for the entrepreneurs in our community. So it's really, I feel a lot of responsibility having the opportunity to participate with you guys. And I want to hear about some of the things, because I think we're about a little over 2-3 years old.
We're going into a full year 3.
A full year 3. Okay. So just in 3 years, can you talk about, because I know we've done a lot of really cool stuff, can you talk about some of the things we're doing to make impact both domestic and abroad?
Absolutely. So one thing that we really try to emphasize when we're building out our annual calendar is that there's opportunity for entrepreneurs and their families, no matter what stage of the game they're in. We all have different things and quirks that go along with us as far as our travel abilities, how often we can get out and travel, how often we're meeting up for part of the mastermind group. And so what we do is we look at how can we plan local events? And so we like to do partnership with Sleep in Heavenly Peace to do domestic events that are one day, 3 to 4 hours, where we bring the members together and their families. We build beds for kids that are sleeping on the floor through their local Sleep in Heavenly Peace chapters. And this is one of the things that I like to pride ourselves on at the foundation, is that we do the research beforehand so that we know the organizations that we're partnering with are going to be able to lift the kids, literally, off the floor in this case, provide a great experience for the volunteers, and make an impact within just a couple hours. Because a lot of times when we're traveling with the volunteers, we only have a small window of time to make a great impact. So those are our domestic impact days that we tie into the meetups that are already scheduled with Seven Figure Flipping, so that members can just tack on one extra day of travel, spend 3 days or 3 hours with us, and make a great impact. And then beyond that, Adam, what we're doing is we're traveling abroad and domestically for 3 to 4 days, depending on the territory that we're going to. And we're building and repairing houses for people that are living in a situation that is not cohesive, not the way we would want our children to be raised, and making sure that they have a safe roof over their head, a foundation under them, and the proper things that they need for a strong house. So those trips, we usually do 3 a year, 2 internationally and 1 domestically. And that way we can see and introduce our families. Here's a key component that you started touching on too with the next generation and kids. We want our kids and our families to see what the world looks like, and to understand that just a few miles or another state away can look vastly different than the neighborhood that you live in, as well as traveling internationally to Mexico, Costa Rica, and beyond to build these houses. So it's very important to me that I'm educating volunteers and their children and making sure everyone's comfortable to be able to see what the world looks like beyond our bubble. And so that's kind of what a year looks like for us. There's days and hours clumped in, and then there's week-long trips that you can participate in as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I have 2 really memorable stories. I can't remember the location. So we do mastermind events, and we're all excited to get together with other investors and CEOs and share tactics and techniques and ways that we're growing our businesses. Mm-hmm. And I show up to one event, and maybe it was in South Carolina or somewhere. And I run into Todd Jones, and he's fresh off of this abroad trip, and he's got tears in his eyes. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Todd, like, what happened? Are you okay? And he tells me this story. I think it was after one of the Mexico trips, actually. And he tells me this story about this family that, I mean, they were basically sleeping in like a trash pile and cooking over an open flame. And the foundation, he just went on one of the trips where the foundation had built a couple of houses, and they were not only able just to build the house, but they delivered it to the family who was going to live in there. And it made such a lasting impact on him that when I ran into him, he literally had tears in his eyes because he was so overwhelmed with joy and all the feelings that come with that. So I thought that was really cool. And then the second story was from Andy's kids. And I think you've probably heard this one, but you know, they're out on the impact trip. They've got their whole family on it. Again, it was another location abroad that they're building houses. And, you know, obviously being an entrepreneur and being well off, your kids kind of don't get exposed to other places in the world or what it's like to not have things. Mm-hmm. And one of Andy's kids looks at him and says, Dad, why these kids are awesome. Like, why do we have so much and they don't? Like, how is that fair? Mm-hmm. And it was at that point, you know, of course, Andy is tearing up that the impact wasn't just on that new family, but also on his own family, his own kids, to understand the impact they can make if they do good, to understand the gratitude they can have for the position they have in life and the responsibility to give and really bring up everybody around you. I thought that was so powerful. And it's like every time we do something, there's a story like that comes out of it.
Everyone has a story. We have a special moment at the end of our international trips where we call it the fireside, and everyone has the opportunity to share about their experience or something that really hit their heart hard. Those stories usually bring out all of the tears. And I do like to pretend that I'm the master of making grown men cry, but it does.
You do a good job.
It does happen naturally on the trips as well, though. And those are the exact stories that you're hearing. A lot of times from a parent angle, it's watching your child and the experience that they've had and saying, oh my goodness, now my kid gets it. Or now I know that I've instilled something in my child that they're going to take home that will forever be a part of who they are. And so yeah, Adam, it's
so powerful.
It's about igniting the fire of service. And that's ultimately, we're there to help the family, of course, and we want to make their life better. But my ultimate goal with the foundation is that all the volunteers that are there and with me come home and they want to do more.
I love it. I love it. And you know what's beautiful about this is entrepreneurs have these like such a unique set of skills that just transcends making money, you know, building team, bringing community, and it applies so well to making impact domestically and abroad. So I just love it. I love everything it stands for. It's a big part of our community and who we are. As business owners, we love to talk about key performance indicators or KPI or data. So I want to talk about some of the things that you shared with me in terms of like the impact we're making. I know you sent me some stuff, and I hope you have it with you. Like, we built this many beds, we built these houses, we affected this many families, because I think sometimes it's easy to be in the moment and go, I can see this impact in my small sphere, but to look at it collectively, the ripple effect that you talk about all the time, Katie, and go, look at all of this impact we can make. Look at the good we're able to do. Can you talk about some of those things? Like, what are the impacts we've made?
Yeah, Absolutely. So let's just talk about 2024 because to me, 2024 is an easy way to make a capsule and say this was 1 year and this is all the good that we did in 1 year flat. And of course, our goal is always every year to escalate those numbers, make them bigger. And so I think if we look at those numbers, you'll say, all right, let's gear up for 2025. So in 2024, we impacted over 11,000 lives and brought over 200 people along with us to impact those lives. And that was just in 2024. So when you're thinking about that, I want you to think about the fact too that very few people live in the same town. So when you talk about volunteers gearing up and coming together, we have coast to coast, we have people in Canada that are joining us on these trips, and we're all coming into one spot. But I really want to emphasize two projects in particular from 2024. One being a well that we helped build in Honduras. And so, Adam, this was one we didn't get to send volunteers on, but it's a way that we as a foundation can impact a multitude of lives in one drop. And that's where I tell you and talk to you about financial security when you're giving gifts to the foundation. I do so much extensive research to make sure that the dollars will be spread properly. And the well project is one that I'm so proud of. So we worked with an organization that spends 20 years in a community where they build a well. So it's not go in, build a well, out they go. There's education on how to use fresh water. It's implemented in the schools. It's implemented in the healthcare systems as well. And then how to use it in your home for hand washing and for cooking and safety. And so there's awesome programs for the kids with Sesame Street involved and beyond. So we were able to give a gift and help get that well set up. And 11,000 people that day, when the well was able to be pumped for the first time, were impacted. But let's talk beyond that number and look at the fact that that's for generations to come. So we're not saying one day, one time these people are impacted. We're saying over the course of their lifetime, they're impacted by this gift day after day. Their kids, their grandchildren are continuing to be impacted by this. And so fresh water, as you think about it, or don't think about it, in the sense of, do you ever sit and think about how often you access fresh water? We don't typically because we have access to fresh water. So we've never had to go without fresh water. But when you stop and think about all the ways we utilize it, washing our dishes, washing our hands, our clothes, flushing the toilet, drinking, there's a multitude of ways we're using water. But now I want you to think about a 4 or 5-year-old child taking a bucket, carrying it on their head, going down to a pond, lake, freshwater source that could be miles away from home multiple times a day. And then think about how poverty is going to continue in those communities because mom can't go to work, kids can't go to school because someone has to bring water to the house. And so those lives that we impacted, generations and ways of safety and health in general. So that's one really big highlight from 2024 of working with our friends in Honduras and getting fresh water. The other one is in Costa Rica, and we're going back to Costa Rica in just a few weeks here. But this is really unique, Adam. We work with Homes of Hope, and these are the houses that you were chatting about with Todd having the tears in his eyes, where we really finish off a house. It has electricity ran in it. We furnish it before we leave. A lot of times this is the first time a family is sleeping on a bed and not on the floor. This is the first time they've had some sort of oven system in their house to use instead of something that they're going to. But the community that we're working in Costa Rica, again, talking about the long-term aspect of things, when you think we're building one, let's just use one house. We're building one house. Maybe it's a family of 5. So if I come back to you and we're talking KPI and you say, oh, you took 30 people and only 5 people were able to benefit from a house being built. No. We have to look at the bigger picture of things. We entered a community in Costa Rica that's never had a Homes of Hope house. So this is a depleted community. It's stacked on stacked. Everything looks kind of to us what it would look like when we tear down a house and make a pile outside in our backyard for the dump to take away. That's what it's starting to look like. But we go in and we instill hope in that community. Can you imagine as a neighbor? We do it ourselves. Our neighbor revamps their house and we're oohing and awing like, ooh, look at the new fresh way they designed their house or their yard. Now imagine being in a community where you didn't have a safe structure to sleep in. And now your neighbor has this safe structure and the hope that is instilled in that community that if that family can level up, we can do it too. How can we get to the point that they're at? How can we get to that safety net? So it's not the 5 people living in the house, it's the community that's forever being impacted, let alone the 30 volunteers that are now impacted and want to go home and do more work. So those are 2 big projects from 2024. We raised right around $150,000 last year through generous donors like the members of 7-Figure Flipping and beyond. We like to talk to people's contractors, their brokerage firms, and introduce to them what we're doing and how they can be a part of it, because not everyone can pack up and go on a trip with us. We understand that, but there are definitely ways to support the work.
Yeah, and it's really incredible. Of course, for folks who want to get involved, first off, you don't have to be a member of the 7-Figure Flipping Mastermind to get involved in our foundation. We want this thing to spread far and wide to make the biggest impact possible. So there'll be a link below in the description that allows you to click on it and get involved in the foundation. You can come on our trips with us, which is kind of like being in a mastermind without being in it. You can also just jump in if you are feeling generous and give some of your treasure. So donate some money. I just donated last week.
Thank you very much.
Because it's important to me and I'm in a position to give back, even if it's a small amount, $5, $10, like every dollar counts. I know you guys had 150,000 in donations last year. I'm on a mission I would like to double it personally. It's something that weighs on my mind every day. How can I get more people involved making an impact? So if you feel compelled to make a difference and make an impact, because that's why you are doing entrepreneurship, you're doing real estate, is to have that freedom to be able to make that impact. The smallest bit will help. So you can either come on a trip with us, click the link, check it out, or you can donate your treasure. If you can't give your time, that's totally fine too. And then, you can always reach out to us. If you are wondering how you can get even deeper involved, either in the foundation volunteering or with our 7-Figure Flipping community, we want to be around good people. Like for us, it's bigger than money. It's about family. It's about impact. It's the money, the real estate thing. It's actually pretty easy. Don't tell anybody I said that. It's pretty easy. It's the impact that we're all here for. And Katie, I'm just so grateful for you and your commitment to the foundation and what you're doing with the board, who's, planning these things, who's finding the best partners to make sure our dollars are actually going to where we're saying they're going, to getting the biggest impact possible. So thank you, Katie, genuinely from me to you. I'm grateful for you.
No, thank you. That's really sweet.
Okay, cool. All right, Katie. So I'll put a link in the comments. Do you want to tell them anything else about how to look into the foundation?
You can always visit our website. We keep it up to date. Facebook is incredibly active, so visit us on Facebook to stay up to date on what we're doing, the projects that we're involved in, and reach out to me. I love to talk about volunteerism in general. So if I can help you even beyond the foundation with things you can do in your local community, I love to talk about it.
Awesome. And the foundation website is what?
7figurefoundation.com, the number 7.
7, the number 7, spelled out, figurefoundation.com, 7figurefoundation.com. Check it out. Make an impact with us. And thanks for tuning in to this episode with the great Katie. And we appreciate you guys, and we hope that we can make impact with you in 2025. See ya.